How's it going, everybody? Dana here with North Central Coins, and welcome back to another episode of the most rare and valuable coins in Canada. Today, I'm going to be counting down the most valuable Canadian penny heirs that you can find between the years 1937 to the present. Now, there are a lot of valuable Canadian pennies out there, and you can be assured that there are some varieties and heirs that you can find, whether it's in your pocket change, maybe you go to your coin shop and you buy some pennies, or you get a collection handed down to you. In this list, I'm going to show you how to identify those varieties and tell you the absolute maximum value that you can get for them. Before I do start this list off, I would really appreciate if you guys would hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see more coin collecting content just like this. And then without further ado, what do you say we get into it and I count down the most valuable Canadian penny heirs that you can find. Let's get it, guys. So as I start this list off, what I'm going to do is work my way from the least valuable all the way up to the most valuable. There are 14 coins on this list, 14 varieties and heirs that you can look for, but I have made videos in the past detailing some of the regular circulation pennies that you can look for, as well as proofs and specimens. So if you guys would like to find out some of the values of other Canadian pennies, I definitely suggest you go check those lists out. But what do you say we start things off with number 14, which is going to be the 2008 Canadian penny. Now, the 2008 actually has a variety you can look for, and that is a doubled 8 with machine doubling. Now, if you can find one of these 2008s with the doubling on the 8, it can bring you around $53 for an MS66 example. Now, this is a fairly recent penny, so there is a good chance if you are hunting pennies, you may be able to find a 2008 that still hits the MS scale, probably not MS66, but if you were able to find a couple of rolls of 2008s, bust them open, you might be able to cherry pick a few of these goodies out there, and if they score in the MS66, you can make some really good money. Number 13 is going to be the 1962 penny, and this is with the guitar variety. Now, there are several varieties for the year 1962, and some of the well-known heirs and varieties are the guitar and harp variety. And number 13 is going to be the 1962 guitar variety. Now, to identify this, basically what you want to do is look beneath the 1 on the date and above the maple leaf. Now, in between, if it looks like there are a set of 6 lines or strings that are very defined and prominent and connect completely from the top to the bottom, then you have yourself the 1962 guitar penny. And this can be worth around $101 for an MS64. I have actually found lots of 1962 pennies that are in the MS range. I have not found any of the guitar or harp varieties, and I've searched quite a few, so I do know that it is rare, but it is also out there. I've known other coin roll hunters that have found them, so it is definitely a good variety to look for, pretty easy to identify, so definitely keep your eyes out for that one. Number 12 is going to be the 1952 Canadian penny. Now, the heir that you are looking for is machine doubling on the date for the numbers 9, 5, and 2. Now, if it has this significant machine doubling on it, it can be worth up to $238 for an MS65 example of the 1952. Number 11 is going to be the other 1962 variety that I was just discussing, and that is going to be the 1962 harp variety. Now, this is very similar to the guitar variety. Basically, you're going to look beneath the 1 and above the maple leaf in between for a set of lines or strings. Now, for the harp variety, the lines are not quite as defined, and they will actually not completely run from the top to the bottom. They will run from the top and cut off about halfway to 3/4 of the way down before touching the maple leaf. Now, in terms of value, the harp variety is actually much more rare and valuable and can bring around $384 for an MS66 example. Number 10 is going to be the 1983 Canadian penny. There are 2 varieties for 1983. There are a near and far beads, and the rare variety that you want to look for is the near beads. Now, they are not worth much at all above face in a low-grade state, but it can be worth all the way up to $534 for an MS67. So this could definitely be a good date to cherry pick some uncirculated rolls, and maybe if you bust one open, you can get a few of these near beads, and if they score high in the Sheldon scale, you can make some pretty good money. Number 9 on this list is going to be one of the 2006 Canadian pennies. There are a few different varieties you can look for that carry pretty hefty premiums, and this is definitely one of them. And that is the 2006 No P Mint Mark Magnetic Penny. So basically, to identify this, what you want to do is look under the Queen's bust on the obverse, and if it doesn't have a P mint mark, and then you hit it with a magnet and it sticks, then you have yourself a pretty decent penny that can be worth all the way up to $863 for an MS67 example. Number 8 is going to be the 1961 penny with a hanging one variety. Now, throughout the 60s, there are a few dates, notably the 1962, that have hanging date varieties. Now, basically, to identify this, what you want to do is look at the bottom stem of the maple leaf, and there should be like a little line or hook that is connecting to the last digit in the date. And there can be single hanging, there can be double hanging, and even triple hanging, and depending on how severe it is, it can affect the value. Now, for the 1961 hanging one, it can be worth around $875 for an MS66. It is not quite as common to occur on the 1961 as it is the 62, so definitely check your 61s and see if you got a hanger. Number 7 is going to be the 1953 Canadian penny, and this is going to be a pretty easy one to identify because all you need to look for is the shoulder fold variety. Now, throughout the date range of 1953 to 1955, there exists shoulder fold and no shoulder fold varieties. The best way to be able to identify it is to look at the I in the DEI on the obverse of the coin. Basically, if the I has serifs that flare out at the ends, then it is the no shoulder fold, and if the I is more straight and blunt looking, then it is the shoulder fold, and you have yourself a very rare Canadian penny. Now, the 1953 shoulder fold can be worth around $1,110 for an MS65, and you can definitely fetch a couple bucks for it if you have one in a circulated beat-up condition. People need these for their collection, and they are definitely hard to find. Number 6 is going to be the 1954 shoulder fold, and this is actually with the hanging 4 variety. Now, I mentioned earlier with the 1961 hanging 1 that there are hanging varieties for some of the early Canadian Elizabeths. The easiest way to identify it is basically to look for a hook that connects from the top of the last digit on the date to the bottom of one of the leaves of the maple leaf. If you can identify this variety for the 1954 shoulder fold, you can get all the way up to $1,240 for an MS66. So I would say one of your best chances actually is probably looking and cherry picking some old PCGS high grade slabs and just looking up close and seeing if any maybe missed the attribution. If you buy an NGC or PCGS 1954 MS66 coin, there's a good chance that they did not attribute it with the hanging 4, but if you were to resubmit it to ICCS, it could very well get that hanging 4 designation and could pick up a very hefty premium. So it's definitely something to think of when you want to cherry pick coins out there, is to look for high grade examples of errors and varieties that are not as well known. Number 5 is going to be the 1948 George VI penny, A points to dentical. Now, to identify this variety, what you want to do is flip over to the obverse and take a little look at the last A in Gratia. Now, if this A points directly to the denticles, then you have yourself a very rare penny, but most time and most cases, it will point in between, at least most of the 1948s that I've checked. Now, in terms of value, the 1948 A points to dentical can be worth around $1,620 for an MS66 example. Number 4 is going to be the much more well-known, infamous Canadian 2006 penny variety, and that is the Canadian 2006 P Mint Mark non-magnetic. So basically the exact opposite of the one that we covered earlier on the list. Now, to identify this penny, what you want to do is flip over to the obverse and look for a little P Mint mark under the Queen's bust, and then you want to hit it with the magnet, and if it sticks, then you don't have yourself a good one. But if it does not stick, then you have yourself one of the rarest modern Canadian pennies of all time, because this can be worth around $1,620 for an MS65 example. And I know that these things can definitely fetch a premium, even if they are well worn and beat up. You can easily get $20 to $30 for these things, so it is definitely a good penny to look for. Number 3 is going to be the 1949 George VI A points to identical penny. So pretty much exactly the same as the 1948. To identify this variety, what you want to do is flip over to the obverse on the 1949 penny, and you want to look at the last A in Gratia. Now, if this A, the tip of the A points directly to the identical, then you have yourself one extremely rare penny, because the 1949 can actually be worth $2,820 for an MS65 example, and you can be sure that it's going to fetch a pretty decent premium at the bottom too, at least $30 to $50 most likely, because people will want these for their collections. There's probably a lot of empty holes out there with 1948 and 1949 8 points to identicals. Number 2 on this list is going to be a penny that has definitely flown under the radar a little bit in terms of its value and rarity. It is one that I definitely make sure to check for now, and that is the 1964 dot penny. Now, basically, to identify this penny, what you want to do is look on the reverse above the 9 on the date for a little dot. It is probably a cud or a die chip, but it is actually a pretty solid, good-looking dot. It looks like it was intentionally put there, even though most likely it was not. Now, this penny is very rare. I've checked hundreds of 1964s and have still not come across one, but that's not saying that maybe I won't get lucky one day. But in terms of value, it can bring all the way up to $3,000 for an MS66. So this could be another decent penny where if you go online to sites like eBay or maybe Heritage Auctions and you try and cherry pick some NGC or PCGS encased 1964 pennies that have high grades, and you are able to spot a little dot above the 9, if you were to buy that, crack it open and get it resubmitted to ICCS, and it actually gets that attribution with that grade, you could easily resell it for a lot more money than you bought it for. So definitely keep an eye out for some of these varieties, especially the 1964 dot, because when you do find 1964 pennies, a lot of the time they are in good shape and they can have a decent cameo. So if you're able to get a MS66 dot cameo designation, that thing is going to be worth $5,000 or more easily. Well, guys, we have made it to number 1 on this list. I would like to thank you guys for sticking with me. I hope you guys enjoy these videos, and I hope you find them helpful as well. I have made lots of other videos in the past detailing some of the other rare and valuable Canadian, American, Australian, and world coins that you can look for. So if you would like to go check those videos out and support my channel, I would really appreciate it. But what do you say we get into the most valuable penny on this list, which is going to be the 1955 no shoulder fold penny. Now, this is a pretty easy one to identify. All you need to do is flip over to the obverse of the coin and look in the last I of DEI. And if you have serifs that flare out at the end of the I, then you have yourself one extremely rare Canadian penny. In terms of value, it can be worth around $6,000 for an MS64, and you can be sure that it has a pretty hefty premium at the bottom of the scale as well. You could easily get probably $20 to $50 depending on how badly somebody needs this thing. But that is pretty much going to do it for this one. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up and please subscribe for more coin collecting content like this in the future. Also, I would like to announce that I have partnered with the company APMEX. They are one of the largest precious metals retailers in North America. They have a website with a massive selection and inventory ranging from bars, bullion, hand-poured pieces. They have New Zealand Mint licensed products like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel. So if you would like to shop one of the best selections of precious metals and bullions in the world and also support my channel at the same time, then just click the link down in the description for APMEX's website. But that's going to be it for this one. So until the next one, everybody, peace out and have a good one, y'all.